Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. It was much simpler for Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong. They didn't even need to put on makeup. Through imitation, they managed to retain their youthful looks, but their appearances changed. For example, Tang Wutong's eyes became smaller, and her pinkish-blue hair turned brown, a common hair color in the Sun Moon Empire. Some minor changes also made her look more ordinary. Although she still appeared delicate, she was not as ravishing as before. Dubuzi smiled when he saw how they looked. He said, "Not bad. Let's go." After walking out of the dark alleyway, they didn't need to avoid the ordinary surveillance soul tools due to their camouflage. They righteously walked onto the streets and found an inn to stay in. Radiant City was very prosperous. Ever since the Sun Moon Empire occupied 2/3 of the Heavenly Soul Empire's land, Shu Qianran consolidated his position in the empire even further. His throne was now very stable, especially after Zhu Zi bore him a crown prince. Shu Qianran and Zhu Zi named their son Shu Yunhan. 1 month after his birth, he was named the crown prince. For an empire, a crown prince represented its future. Furthermore, Shu Qianran was disabled. This made a crown prince even more paramount. Ever since the crown prince was named, some of the doubts that came from the imperial family disappeared. Shu Qianran was finally respected as the emperor. Zhu Zi was also well loved by the Sun Moon Empire's citizens. The story of how she became the empress spread widely. She was just an ordinary civilian who was saved by Shu Qianran when he was still a crown prince. After that, she hurt herself seriously to save him, which touched him. Eventually, she became the empress. With Shu Qianran's help, Zhu Zi slowly revealed her extraordinary talent in military matters. After Shu Qianran ascended to the throne, she accumulated merits and became the marshal of the 3 armies, leading the Sun Moon Empire's army in its domination over the Heavenly Soul Empire. Within the Sun Moon Empire, the story that spread was that the Heavenly Soul Empire would have been completely annexed if not for the fact that Zhu Zi was pregnant and had to return to the empire to nurse her baby. Zhu Zi was also known as a goddess of war. In some areas, she was even more outstanding than Shu Qianran. Undoubtedly, everything about Zhu Zi was intentionally spread under Shu Qianran's orders. First, it was a means of making amends to her. Second, Shu Qianran was disabled and couldn't do many things on his own. He needed someone he trusted to perform tasks for him. Zhu Zi was a female. If she wanted to be in the limelight, she needed to be more glorious. This was why Shu Qianran did so much to ensure that she shone as much as possible. Of course, there was one more reason why she was being pushed into the limelight. This was because she had earned the recognition of the Sun Moon Empire's army. In a few fights, she demonstrated her talent and won over many generals. Whenever she was involved in a fight, the Sun Moon Empire always made headway. When she returned to the empire, things changed at the front line. She had earned her reputation as a goddess of war. After settling down, Huo Yuhao told the body Doluo before bringing Tang Wutong out to roam the streets. "Yuhao, aren't you going to ask the body Doluo about the true goal of this mission?" Tang Wutong asked him. Huo Yuhao smiled and replied, "Why should I ask if he doesn't want to tell? I think we aren't the only ones in the dark. Many of the titled Doluo on this mission probably don't know the true goal of this mission. Only the body Doluo and Heavenly Sun Doluo know. My mentality is different from before. I was fearless in the past. Then, I didn't have you by my side. I didn't know whether I could find you. However, things are different now. With you by my side, my greatest mission is to bring you back safely. I also hope to return safely with you. That's enough. That's why I'm not probing too much. Why should I bring more trouble to myself?" Tang Wutong stopped in her tracks. As Huo Yuhao was holding her hand, he also naturally stopped. Tang Wutong looked at him, and there seemed to be something in her eyes. Huo Yuhao smiled and asked, "What? Are you touched?" Tang Wutong lifted her hand and caressed his face. Yuhao, you've matured. Huo Yuhao grabbed her hand. You've recovered your memories this time and returned to my side. I've thought over many things clearly. I don't want to be a hero that saves the world. I don't care about my reputation either. You are the most important thing in my heart. As long as you are by my side, so what if I lose the world? I worked tirelessly in my cultivation and improved myself in the hope that I could better protect you and my loved ones. Wutong, I love you. Huo Yuhao was very calm. So was his gaze. However, it was his words that made Tang Wutong tear up a little, and she was gently pulled into his embrace. Me too. I love you too, Yuhao. Huo Yuhao didn't dare to hug her too tightly. He wasn't afraid of being attacked by the seal, but afraid of attracting attention if he triggered it. They only hugged gently. However, he still felt very warm in his heart. At this moment, a commotion could be heard on the streets. Fully armored soldiers were running over. These soldiers were all very tall and large. As they ran over, they appeared very domineering. They didn't try to avoid anyone at all. Those who couldn't react in time were knocked over. Tang Wutong and Huo Yuhao were on the streets too, but they couldn't reveal their extraordinary speed right now. Huo Yuhao could only turn his body and block Tang Wutong. At the same time, he pushed her as they got out of the soldier's way. The soldier running at the front knocked into Huo Yuhao's back. The resultant force did nothing to worry Huo Yuhao. However, he still staggered a few steps to the side. He even let out a groan. His acting was top grade. Huo Yuhao was a little annoyed as he said, "These people are really party poopers." Tang Wutong chuckled and commented, "This is not the effect of my father's seal." The bystanders on the streets were also displeased. Of course, they weren't too loud with their complaints. It's the Imperial Guards again. They are revolting. They don't treat us as humans at all. Recently, His Majesty has wanted to organize a grand sacrificial ceremony. These Imperial Guards have been coming out of the palace on many occasions, and we're the ones suffering for it. Imperial Guards. Huo Yuhao squinted. In the Sun Moon Empire, the Imperial family held the greatest power. Among them, the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion was naturally the strongest. They are also called the Imperial Court Soul Engineer Legion, and were the strongest among the hand that protects the nation. The Imperial Palace of Consecration, also known as the Research Institute, was next. As for how strong the Sun Moon Empire was, no one fully knew. There was going to be a grand sacrificial ceremony. However, Huo Yuhao realized that assassinating Shu Qianran was almost impossible after entering Radiant City. Shu Qianran controlled the core strength of the Sun Moon Empire right now. How was it going to be easy to kill him? After making turns along the streets and grabbing a bite to eat, Huo Yuhao brought Tang Wutong back to their inn. Once they entered, he heard Dubuzi's voice. Huo Yuhao asked Tang Wutong to return to their room first. He came to Dubuzi's room. Dubuzi was in a single room on his own. The other two titled Doluor from the body sect also had their own rooms. When he saw Huo Yuhao, Dubuzi raised his hand. The entire room was suddenly covered by a dim green glow. If one wasn't observant enough, they wouldn't be able to detect any difference. However, Huo Yuhao was horrified to discover that his spiritual detection had been isolated. Powerful. At Dubuzi's level and cultivation, his soul and spiritual power were almost completely fused. He was like Elder Xian, before one step from becoming an ultimate Doluor. However, it was a pity that he didn't have a Qiankuan fortune pill to help him. In addition, he was critically hurt before. It would take some time before he could complete that last step. How is it? Did you discover anything while you were out? Dubuzi asked. Huo Yuhao shook his head and replied, "Things are normal in Radiant City. The surveillance soul tools in the city have covered almost the entire city. However, more surveillance soul tools are pointed towards the outside of the city rather than inside the city. The grand sacrificial ceremony is indeed in progress. Everything fits the information that we've been given. Dubuzi nodded and replied, Yuhao, we have another mission apart from assassinating Shu Qianran. What? Huo Yuhao was shocked as he stared at Dubuzi. Even though he had already deduced that, he was still astonished when Dubuzi mentioned it. He knew exactly what this meant. It was Dubuzi's recognition of him. However, at the same time, it also meant that Dubuzi was dragging him into this mission. Huo Yuhao started to regret having come. He was too young. If not for the fact that he had performed very well all this while, Dubuzi wouldn't have recognized his abilities. If that didn't happen, he wouldn't be roped in on this side mission. Huo Yuhao continued to act stunned as he asked, what other mission is there? Are you talking about bombing the munitions warehouse? Dubuzi shook his head and answered, bombing their munitions warehouses is only our way of attracting their attention. In fact, you can't imagine how heavily guarded they are. That's why we just need to create chaos by bombing them. After that, we'll try to assassinate Shu Qianran. At the same time, there's another mission. Huo Yuhao asked, there's another mission? The White Tiger Duke didn't tell me anything. Dubuzi said, that's because this important mission is supposed to be completed by the Heavenly Sun Doluo and myself. Only the two of us know our true goal. Your spiritual detection is very strong. That's something we hadn't thought of before. Don't worry, we won't give you the most difficult task. We've already planned everything out. We hope that you can receive us when we finish it, no matter whether we succeed or fail. Your job is to ensure that the title Doluo involved in this mission can escape successfully. After hearing his words, Huo Yuhao instantly heaved a sigh of relief. It was great that he didn't need to be exposed to danger. The Sun Moon Empire was a lion's den. If even Dubuzi was being so prudent, it showed how difficult the upcoming mission was. It was best that he didn't need to be directly part of it. As for receiving them, that was the least he could do. Ensuring that the strength of the three empires in the original Doluo continent was preserved was very critical in stopping the Sun Moon Empire. All right, I'll do my best to help everyone escape. Huo Yuhao agreed without any hesitation. Dubuzi was pleased, and he smiled. All right, we'll plan an escape route. When the time comes, you shall receive us from this route. Whether we succeed or not, you should help everyone who returns. Once we meet you, our safety will be in your hands. Huo Yuhao didn't agree immediately this time. He thought for a moment before nodding and saying, all right, I'll do my best. Dubuzi didn't immediately reveal the escape route. Rather, he reached into his pocket and retrieved a small booklet before passing it to Huo Yuhao. It's a pity that you met Mu Yan instead of me. I'm giving you this booklet. Take it as a reward for helping us this time. The booklet was the size of a palm, but Huo Yuhao was astonished to find out that it was very heavy when he received it. It had to weigh at least 5 kilos. The booklet was dim gold. There were 4 exquisitely written words on the cover, secrets of the body. Huo Yuhao was stunned when he saw these 4 words. He immediately lifted his head to look at Dubuzi, but only saw a gentle look in his eyes. Elder, I can't take this. It's too. Huo Yuhao subconsciously passed the booklet back. Dubuzi waved him off and refused to take the booklet back. He calmly said, do you know how much the body sect has suffered during the fight between the Heavenly Soul Empire and the Sun Moon Empire at the border? Almost 2/3 of the elites in the body sect have died, including our few most talented soul masters from the younger generation. The body sect is only still around because I survived. However, once I die, the body sect will perish along with me. The Sun Moon Empire is much stronger than I expected. In the past, I was too self-absorbed and self-confident. When we secretly attacked the Sun Moon Empire, we even dealt a huge blow to the illustrious Virtue Hall. Then, I was so confident that we could deal with them. However, that seems like a joke now. I was just like a frog in a well. I lost my relevance, which led to our destruction. However, I believe that the body sect can still survive. All the soul masters in the body sect are uniquely talented. Your martial soul is also a body soul. You should be able to sense the difference between a martial soul and a body soul. We are much more talented than ordinary soul masters, and we can comprehend things better. This allows us to complete the fusion of our soul and spiritual power more easily. In terms of abilities, we are far beyond those evil soul masters who don't have any future. However, we lost. But we didn't lose in terms of talent or abilities, but our vision. It was my mistake. That's why I have to do something for the sect no matter what. This booklet contains many secrets of body souls. It's also the most important collection in the body sect. Only the body Doluor can inherit this booklet. I'm lending it to you temporarily. If I survive this mission, return it to me. If I die, please send it to Shrek Academy, and ask the Academy to return it to the body sect. In the meantime, I permit you to go through its contents. You don't have to thank me either. I'm not just doing this to help you. At the same time, I hope to glorify body souls even further. Although you are Mu Yen's disciple, that doesn't take away the fact that you have a body soul. When your body soul becomes stronger, you'll be a body Doluor. Whether you are willing or not, it's the truth. If the body sect perishes in the future, please help me to pass down the heritage and preserve the spirit of the sect when you meet a soul master with a body soul in the future. Take it as a payment for reading the contents of this booklet. What do you think? Was there any reason for Huo Yuhao to reject it? The answer was no. Huo Yuhao was still deep in thought when he walked out from Dubuzi's room. Yes, he wasn't happy just because he had obtained the secrets of the body. From Dubuzi's words, he could tell that he wasn't in good condition. Furthermore, it seemed like he was the only one who thought that he wouldn't return alive. It clearly felt as if he was entrusting the book to Huo Yuhao. He wasn't just entrusting the book. He was entrusting the entire body sect. After returning to his own room, Huo Yuhao sat down in a chair and opened the book. Tang Wutong came to his side. When she saw the words "secrets of the body," she was also astonished. Huo Yuhao told her what Dubuzi had told him quietly. After he finished, Tang Wutong furrowed her brow. Yuhao, the Heavenly Soul Empire is done. Huo Yuhao revealed a bitter smile on his face. He agreed with Tang Wutong. If even the body sect was in such bad shape that their sect leader had to entrust the entire sect to Huo Yuhao, it must mean that the Heavenly Soul Empire was doomed. Once their last line of defense fell, the entire empire would be gone. The only thing they could do now was hang on as long as they could. From the body Doluor's words, Huo Yuhao could tell that half of the elites of the Heavenly Soul Empire had been killed when the Sun Moon Empire first invaded Heaven Do City. They were now truly crippled. Although Dubuzi didn't reveal the true goal of this mission, it seemed like this mission was very important, given that he appeared to put all his eggs into one basket. However, it might also be that he was trying to deal one last blow to the Sun Moon Empire before he died. Huo Yuhao flipped open the first page of the book. The material used to make this book was unknown. Not only was it heavy, but it was also very tough. The first page didn't contain the contents of the book. It was a piece of paper that was stuffed into the book. I've ruled the sect for more than 200 years, but now I'm the one who has doomed the sect. It's my fault. My arrogance has caused the sect to fall behind the times. One is bound to be abandoned if he falls behind the times. However, this should not be happening to the body sect. A body soul is a godly gift. It's a pity that I don't have time to adapt to the times anymore. Anyone from the body sect should remember that soul tools are the future. In this future, we need to be able to stand out. The combination of a body soul and soul tools will be bound to astonish the world. Dubuzi. After reading these words, Huo Yuhao felt even more pressure. Given Dubuzi's identity and status, he had actually said such self-defamatory words. This could only mean that something was destined to happen. However, the last few sentences left Huo Yuhao stunned. It had to do with the combination of body souls and soul tools. Isn't this the direction that Teacher Xian and I discovered? We have a new plan because of this new path. Yes, body souls allowed one to comprehend things better. More importantly, a specific body part of a soul master would become much stronger if that part was a body soul. To put things into simpler terms, if a Soul Master's martial soul was his hand, he would be able to handle much stronger soul tools using his hand. It was just like Huo Yuhao's eyes. In his case, his eyes were able to handle much stronger soul tools. Dubuzi knew what the future was going to be like. However, just like he mentioned, he had discovered it too late. He no longer had the opportunity to adapt. Huo Yuhao gently took the piece of paper out, and saw that the front page of the book was inscribed with the words "Godly Gift." There was a paragraph of words below it. Humans are a gift of the gods. They retained the intelligence of the gods. Among humans, there are those who preserve the divine power of gods. The body sect clearly treated body souls as godly gifts. Although Huo Yuhao didn't fully agree with such an idea, the sect must have their own reasoning, since it was a legacy that had been passed down for years. As he thought until here, Huo Yuhao squinted and continued reading. 5 days later. The atmosphere in Radiant City felt evidently more serious and imposing compared to normal. Early in the morning, the usually bustling city became very quiet. Apart from some stores that sold daily necessities, most of the stores chose to cease business for the day. This was because it was the day of the grand sacrificial ceremony. The Emperor of the Sun Moon Empire, Shu Tianran, would be at the outskirts of the city to attend the ceremony. He was going to pay his respects to heaven and earth, as well as the ancestors of the Sun Moon Empire. The territories of the Sun Moon Empire had expanded greatly in the short period of time after Shu Tianran ascended to the throne. This ceremony was more of a ceremony to flaunt his achievements. At the same time, he was warning everyone to be prepared for the day that he ruled over the entire continent. Preparations for this grand sacrificial ceremony had been in motion for many months. Many resources, including workers, money and materials, were tapped into for this ceremony. Many citizens streamed out of the city in the early hours of the day. They came to the outskirts and prepared to witness the beginning of this glorious ceremony. On the main streets of Radiant City, the soldiers wore helmets as they stood at the sides. The entire place was heavily guarded. An intense, solemn aura filled the entire city. The citizens proceeded towards the southern outskirts in an orderly fashion under the eyes of the army. This ceremony was extremely grand. For it, the Sun Moon Empire had deployed an army of more than 100,000 men. At the southern outskirts, a huge sacrificial altar had already been constructed half a month ago. The altar was a platform that was weirdly shaped. The left side was circular, while the right was like a crescent. The significance of such a design had to do with the sun and the moon, which symbolized the Sun Moon Empire. The circular sacrificial altar was more than 10,000 square meters in area, and up to 100 feet high. It was made completely from granite. There was even a 6-story platform above the original platform. Each and every story of this platform was shaped exactly like the original platform, just that they were increasingly smaller in size. The platform at the top was only 1,000 square meters in size. From the bottom to the top, the colors of the platforms were respectively red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue and violet. They represented the colors of the rainbow, and signified everything in heaven and earth. There was a total of 8 stone stairways around the sacrificial altar. They all led to the top. This altar wasn't only used once. It was passed down from generation to generation, and its sole purpose was to pay respects to the heavens. The altar was heavily guarded. There were soul formations in each of the 4 cardinal directions. Even though the scale of the soul formations wasn't as large as that of their soul engineer legions, these soul formations were constructed by the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion. The technology used was the most advanced as of yet. Of the 100,000-man army that was deployed to this ceremony, 40,000 guarded the altar. The rest were stationed elsewhere. Most of the soldiers were responsible for maintaining order. The sky was already starting to turn bright. The sun shone on the majestic grand altar, which exuded a rainbow glow. From afar, it was a magnificent sight. All 7 altars combined reached a total height of 100 feet, which was much higher than the tallest skyscraper in Radiant City. It was bound to become one of the symbolic structures of the Sun Moon Empire in the future. Under the soldiers' orders, the citizens were crowded around the altar until there was hardly any space left. There were more than 20 million citizens in the Sun-Moon Empire. They formed the core of the empire. Even if there weren't 10 million people here to watch today, there were still a couple of million. The entire place was densely populated right now, and it was difficult to see the end of the sea of people. The time of the ceremony was set at around 9 in the morning. The energy from the sun was the strongest then, and it signified the Sun-Moon Empire's continuous rise in the future. In the distance, a group decked in bright yellow was slowly proceeding towards the sacrificial altar from Radiant City. As this group passed, the soldiers opened a path for them. At the front, there was a huge dragon sedan carried by 1,024 men. The sedan was covered in silk satin, and there were images of flying dragons embroidered on the silk. However, the images of the sun and moon were embroidered in the most core positions of the sedan. This was Shu Qianran's dragon sedan. At this moment, Shu Qianran was seated in his sedan. He wore a nine-dragon, purplish gold crown on his head, and was dressed in an elegant, brocade robe that was only fitting for the emperor of the Sun-Moon Empire. Zhu Zi, who was sitting beside him, was also dressed in an extremely elegant, bright yellow palace robe. She wore a smile on her face, and her headdress was adorned with the most expensive gems. The curtains around the sedan were raised, so that all the citizens could see the most powerful couple in the world. Long live His Majesty! The soldiers lifted their weapons and greeted Shu Qianran at the same time. Suddenly, all the citizens kneeled down in the direction of the sedan at the same time. Shu Qianran appeared very dignified as he sat on the sedan. He was also felt very proud of himself at this moment. When he lost his legs, his world seemed to turn completely dark. However, he was now the ruler of the Sun-Moon Empire. He was even the future ruler of the entire continent. When he saw the millions of people bowing down to him, Shu Qianran could sense luck and fortune coming his way. That feeling was magical. Paying respects to the heavens was only an act, but bringing the people together was important to stabilize the empire. Carrying out such a ceremony was what Shu Qianran wanted to do after he ascended to the throne. Over the past 2 years, the 3 empires of the original Doluo continent had made rapid developments. They had developed their soul tools and recruited more soldiers. But wasn't it the same for the Sun-Moon Empire? Shu Qianran got his rhythm completely right. At the beginning, his position as the emperor wasn't very stable. However, he stood his ground and initiated an invasion with the Holy Ghost Church's support. Why? It was to distract attention away from the internal conflicts in the empire. Whether his officials supported him or not, they knew what to do as long as they were intelligent enough. Defeating their enemies was the main priority. Zhu Zi didn't disappoint either. She relied on her wits and astonishing military talent to unleash the full advantages of the Sun-Moon Empire's army, dominating the Star Luo and Heavenly Soul Empires. In the end, she attained marvelous results. Although the war had already stopped before the Heavenly Soul Empire was completely occupied, one couldn't deny the fact that Shu Qianran had expanded the Sun-Moon Empire. At this point, he chose to slow down his attacks and solidify the empire's defenses after listening to Zhu Zi's suggestion. Instead, the empire would turn to soul tool technology to earn the trust and respect of the people in the occupied Heavenly Soul Empire. At the same time, Shu Qianran turned his attention inward. Due to the achievements made during the war, there were much fewer objections. Zhu Zi's pregnancy and the birth of the crown prince also served to further consolidate Shu Qianran's position. In just a short 2 years, he had completely silenced all his doubters. He was now the true ruler of his empire. However, all of this still wasn't enough to satisfy his desires. He was too ambitious. He wanted to rule over the entire world and the entire Doluo continent. He wanted to avenge the holy war that the Sun-Moon Empire had lost 4,000 years ago. This was why he wanted to pay respects to the heavens. He wanted to use this ceremony to tell the world that the Doluo continent belonged to him and the Sun-Moon Empire. After this ceremony, the holy war would begin. Zhu Zi silently sat beside Shu Qianran. She could sense the heat from his body. It wasn't a change in his body temperature, but a manifestation of his ambitions. He was like the sun as everyone watched him, releasing a bright yet dominant glow from his body. Juzi was wearing a grin on her face throughout. After she gave birth, she appeared even more classy, elegant and mature. Her figure also became more voluptuous. Her originally smooth and delicate skin was even more moisturized now. Xu Qianran patted Juzi's hand and jolted her back to her senses. Juzi smiled as she said, "Congratulations, Your Majesty. You are the Emperor of Eternity." Xu Qianran also revealed a smile on his face. "No matter what I own, I'll share it with you. Are you still unhappy? I didn't bring the Crown Prince along, because he's too young. He'll be scared to see so many people." Juzi gently shook her head and replied, "Why would I be unhappy? Your decision is right. I've already thought it through." Xu Qianran replied, "It's good that you understand. Once the ceremony is over, I'll follow you to see Yunhan." "All right." Juzi nodded. She naturally knew why Xu Qianran didn't want to bring her son for this ceremony. This was because he wasn't his biological son. Moreover, so what if they were biologically related? Given his character, he wanted to become the Emperor of Eternity. His dream took precedence over everything else. To him, the Crown Prince was only a tool. Of course, she was also a tool. Finally, the dragon sedan arrived in front of the altar. Xu Qianran stood up and held Juzi's hand before slowing descending from the dragon sedan. After this, they walked up the altar. Right now, the bottom platform of the altar was filled with people. Those who were fit to be on the altar were all important figures in the Sun-Moon Empire. To them, being here was an absolute honor. The cheers of the citizens were very rapturous. It was astounding. The sound waves created by a few million people echoed extremely far away. Xu Qianran wore a smile on his face. Juzi wasn't the only one who could sense his gloss. Everyone on the altar could also sense it. Their hearts trembling, they kneeled down and bowed to him. They could sense that the Sun-Moon Empire would rule the entire continent in the near future. Xu Qianran wasn't quick, but he was steady. When he reached the sixth platform, he naturally let go of Juzi's hand. Juzi stopped and watched as he climbed up to the seventh platform. Yes, he was the only one who ascended to the seventh platform. The seventh platform was adorned with many elegant patterns. A huge hexagram array reflected dim golden lights. In the center of this hexagram array, an image of the sun and moon was blinding. The sun was golden, while the moon was silver. Gold and silver intersected and complemented each other. This video will end here.